What's up, guys? We're back with another show. We have a very special guest here today. We have Sam Terry, Judge Sam Terry, we should say, not just Sam Terry anymore. Judge Sam Terry running for Circuit Court Judge District 7, correct?
Correct,
Awesome.
Yes sir.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes sir, thank you for having me, John.
I appreciate it. It means a lot to me to educate our community on what they're voting for. I think the biggest problem in our community and just the nation, to be quite honest, they don't know what they're voting for, so they tend not to come out and vote. And then they're upset because this person's in office and that person's in office, but you had your choice to come in and actually be a part of it. So we want to have people like Sam come on and educate us about who they are, and then what do they stand for? What are they trying to accomplish when they get their opportunity to sit in the seats of power and influence? So I appreciate you coming on. Tell me a little bit about where Sam comes from. Who is Sam? And Mr. Judge Sam Terry, I guess I should say Judge Sam Terry. I need to be more formal. Where you come from, and what are you doing today?
Still kind of getting used to that title, and
Yeah.
Sam is just fine.
Yeah.
In the courtroom, people call me judge. Sometimes
Yeah.
people call me judge out in public, but
Yeah.
it's I'm a humble guy. I just want to serve. But
Yeah.
a bit about me, Josh. I was born and raised here in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Went to high school at Southside High School. Graduated in 1998. Go Mavericks. Went to the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. Received an undergraduate degree in business in 2002, and went on to law school and graduated in 2005.
Yeah.
I got back here as soon as I could. This is where I want to be. This is home for me. This is the community that I care about. Most of my other colleagues wanted to either stay in Northwest Arkansas or go to Central Arkansas or even somewhere bigger. Nothing wrong with that at all. There's great places out there. But again, this is home for me. I want to serve my own community, so I had an opportunity to come back and practice law at the Harmon, Terry law firm. It's where my father has practiced since 1976. Got to work alongside him. Kind of cut my teeth as a young lawyer on some insurance subrogation cases. We represented Beverly Enterprises back when they were the largest nursing home provider in the state. So got to travel this great state and go visit with nurses, CNAs, administrators of these nursing homes, track down witnesses, and really kind of develop the kind of cases that we tried there. So civil defense litigation was primarily what we did. Gunnar DeLay was appointed prosecuting attorney here to serve out an unexpired term, and he ended up offering me a job as a deputy prosecutor beginning in early 2008, which I took, frankly, to get more courtroom experience, but mainly because I felt a calling to be in public service. That was really my first public service job, Josh, and I'm grateful to this day for the opportunity that Judge DeLay gave me in hiring me to be in that position. In that position, I got to try hundreds of cases in district court and in circuit court, hundreds of juvenile cases, delinquency cases, family in need of services type cases. Tried numerous jury trials. I feel like I put some bad people away for a while, and really the most rewarding part of all of that was occasionally getting to help somebody, help someone who was in need, maybe someone who was in an abusive relationship with someone, getting to lock up their abuser or get some help, get some treatment for someone who actually needed it and could benefit from it. You could get off the cycle of being, frankly, a criminal in and out of jail, fines and court costs, and go out there and be a productive member of society. From there, I was hired by Judge Holmes, P.K. Holmes. He's a federal judge in the Western District, then Chief Judge P.K. Holmes. I was his second law clerk that he hired after he was appointed to the bench by President Obama. Terrific experience.
What year was that?
It was 2011 when
so young. I mean, he's. I mean, you can't tell. He's very young now.
So
he's talking about stuff from 2008 and then 2011. How do you even get in those rooms at that age? I mean, how does that happen? Gunnar DeLay at 2008. What were you, 30?
I was
28.
28.
Yeah, you were young.
Well, yeah, I was young. Well, Josh, I no good answer for that. I guess maybe right place, right time. Maybe maybe a bit of luck, coincidence. Maybe just my attitude of wanting to be here, wanting to help. Again, not a lot of maybe not a lot of people looking to fill those public service type roles, and maybe it was just kind of the right fit at the right time.
Yeah, you just kind of saw that void in that area, and when the opportunity came upon yourself, you just kind of ran towards it.
Yes, sir.
When others may have ran from it.
For sure.
Yeah.
love a challenge. I do not ever run from a good challenge. Being a law clerk certainly had its own challenges as well, helping navigate through some pretty complex civil and criminal cases and issues that came before Judge Holmes's court. But really his judicial temperament, style, and approach to cases really informed the kind of judge that I hope to be. Hopefully the kind of judge that I am today. That was a term position for him. It was a 2-year term. About a year and a half into that term, I was offered a job at First National Bank of Fort Smith to work in the trust department. Judge Holmes told me, when he hired me, that this job isn't forever. It's a 2-year term. I don't think you want to be a career clerk, Sam. So if something comes up that you want to do, take it by all means. So I visited with him about that, and after 7 years in the trust department up there, working on estate matters, estate planning, trust administration, probate administration type situations, the governor's office called me and asked if I would consider taking an appointment to be a district court judge, because the judge who was currently holding that role was being appointed a circuit court judge. And of course I said yes, answering the call to public service again. So I want to work for you. I want to work for the public. I feel like my skills and my public service and legal background have prepared me for the job that I have right now. And I'm asking the voters to keep me on the bench and to elect me as your next circuit judge.
Awesome. Well, if you can't tell, he's a very humble guy. Very, very nice person. I've actually just met him through passing. Just walking through the neighborhood, walking to one of my listings, and like, "Are you Sam Terry?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's just handing out cards himself and educating the community and the neighborhood on what's going on. And I just thought, this guy, he's a little bit different. He's not the norm. So I think it's really cool to have you here. So it just seems like it's a natural progression, and every time you kind of get away from public service, somehow you end up back in it. So I think you finding your calling out at such a young age is awesome. And not that he's a kid like me. I'm 27. I mean, he's been through a lot. He's been through a lot in his time. And why do you think people should take this election so serious? Why is this something that people need to pay attention to and not just overlook? It's just another judge seat that's coming over.
Josh, I think this is a very important time, particularly in Sebastian County. If you live in Fort Smith, there's 5 local judicial races on the ballot. 7 total if you count the Court of Appeals and Supreme Court races. So we've never seen anything like this before in the history of our county. I mean, there's going to be 2 new district court judges, potentially 2 new circuit court judges, potentially 3 new district court judges as well. I think that the face of our local judiciary is changing and will change inevitably. There's 2 circuit court judges that are retiring, Judges Fitzhugh and Judge Cox. I will, hopefully take over a circuit court spot. Judge DeLay is running for Judge Fitzhugh's spot, and he's unopposed currently. So I think it's extremely important for people to be educated about these judicial issues. What makes these races a bit unique is, unlike the presidential primary, which is also on March the 3rd, these judicial candidates, I should say, can't talk about issues. We're not supposed to talk about issues that may come before the court. So I get asked all the time, well, are you Democrat or Republican? Well, I'm nonpartisan. Yeah. Well, how do you feel about gun rights? Well,
I'm a judge.
Exactly. And that's something that's really beautiful and unique, I think, about our legal system here in America. A good example of that was Judge Isaac Parker, who was a federal judge here back in the day, as they say, who sentenced a number of people to death by hanging. Judge Parker personally was opposed to the death penalty, but when it came down to it, Josh, his personal belief was in conflict with the law. He was a judge, and he had to apply the law.
Yeah.
Even however much I imagine that tore him up inside to apply the death penalty in cases where he really didn't believe it. So. Issues, judges taking certain stances on issues really gets into some thorny type things that we can't be. We've got to be impartial. We've got to uphold the law as it's written. Yeah. If I wanted to change the law, I'd be running for state representative, Congress, but I'm running for judge.
Yeah. So as far as the point of this is to help the public be more informed of how they even make their decision. Like, how do you pick a judge that you want to, I mean, because honestly, if you don't know anything about the person, it doesn't sound like, personally you guys can even talk about your views. If you were in our shoes, how do we make our decision? I mean, how do we look back at your background and what you've done in the past and your other cases, or what do we do?
Well, while I can't talk about my personal views as well as far as political things go, I can talk about my experience.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we're losing quite a bit of judicial experience through the 2 circuit court judges that are retiring. So I think it's important for us to elect someone with judicial experience. I'm the candidate with judicial experience. I'm the only candidate with judicial experience in my race. Of course, I'm serving as a district judge now. I'm in court every single day making decisions from a judicial perspective, trying to listen to all sides, make sure that people's rights are upheld, and also have experience as a special associate justice to the Arkansas Supreme Court. So I believe I would submit to the voters that those 2 things set me well apart and make me by far the most experienced candidate for circuit judge. I think my experience as a full-time deputy prosecuting attorney also sets me apart. Trying cases for my client was the state of Arkansas and people in Sebastian County. So trying cases for my voters and keeping this community safer, trying jury trials, asking for significant penitentiary time in a lot of cases for folks that had done unspeakable things. Of course, I believe that sets me apart. I think that my public service record, not only serving the community, but also serving in professional capacities, sets me apart. I've been involved in a number of nonprofits here in the area. I'm currently president of the Children's Shelter Foundation Board, which fills a very important need with respect to kids in foster care and kids that need treatment. I'm on the Sebastian Retired Citizens Association Board, which provides all the activities at the senior activity centers around the county. Deanna Rice, a good friend of mine, is the director of those centers, and I mean, they do a phenomenal job. So, I care about people. I care about the most vulnerable in our society, the children and our seniors, frankly. Yeah. So, I think that my compassion, my empathy, judicial experience, and temperament really sets me apart, and that's why I would humbly ask for votes.
Yeah. See, I mean, I think that means a lot. I mean, the one thing that I've taken from it is, we need to vote for judges who have experience and have been in situations that, similar situations where they're going to see in court every day, because you're dealing with civil cases, foster care. I mean, all kinds of things that, I mean, if someone's in the wrong seat, could really set us back. So I think that's really important that you have a lot of experience, or vote for somebody with a lot of experience. It makes a lot of sense.
Yes, sir.
So how can people learn more about you? How can people support you as we get closer to? We've already started early voting, but how can people support you, and how can people get in contact if they have any questions?
Early voting goes up until March the 2nd, and then election day is March the 3rd. But if you'd like to find out a bit more about me, if I happen to not knock on your door, which is probably unlikely.
That's how I met you.
Knocked on a lot of doors out there, met some terrific folks. But you can find me on Facebook, Judge Sam Terry for Circuit Court. There's a bit about me on there. There's information on my push cards. I think there's another mail out going out in the next day or two. So you'll probably receive another letter from me that has some more information about me. But really my Facebook page is where most of it's at. And my wife takes care of that, so it's actually a pretty good Facebook page too.
It looks great. I asked, I was like, do you have somebody like a PR manager to take care? He's like, no, my wife does everything. She's doing an awesome job.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot better than. I can't imagine what it would be if I did on my own. It probably wouldn't get many likes. I'll tell you that much.
Well, you're doing great.
Well, thanks a lot. I really. I do want to serve. I'll tell you something that happened to me. I've got all kinds of crazy stories from the campaign trail, but this one kind of touched me. I did something I've never done in my entire life. I ran out of gasoline one night, and having driven the same truck for 14 years, when my fuel gauge says 0 miles to empty, that usually means I got about 50 or 60 more miles to go. Right? don't ask me how I know that. At any rate, I know my car, right? So it said 4 miles to empty, so I didn't think much of it. I thought, well, I'll fill up in the morning or something, but I ran out of gas, and I was about probably 5 feet away from the gas pump, so I had to go inside, buy a gas can. While I was there was a guy in there that, I don't know, he saw my truck out there with the Terry for Judge stickers, saw my campaign button on there, and he was familiar to me for all the wrong reasons, if you know what I mean. I'd seen him in court recently, and he said, "Are you Judge Terry?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Judge Terry. How are you doing tonight?" And he said, "Well, I don't know if you remember me, but you found me guilty of driving my license suspended for DWI, and you sentenced me to 10 days in jail. I just want to thank you. You did what you had to do, but you were respectful about it. I've been in front of a lot of judges, and I've never been treated like that before by a judge." And I told him I appreciate that. I want to treat everybody like that. I hope everyone that comes before me as a judge has a story similar to that gentleman. Because I'm a huge believer in basic human dignity, respect. Even if someone, is accused of doing something awful, I mean, we've still got the presumption of innocence in the United States. That's something else I think that really makes our country and our judicial system beautiful. So that was, I asked him to vote for me too, by the way. I gave him a push card, but who knows if he will or not. But whether he does or not, as long as he walked out of the courtroom feeling like he was respected, treated with dignity, and listened to, I feel like I've done my job. And that's the kind of judge I want to be, Josh.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Get in contact with Sam Terry. Obviously, if you have any other questions, through his Facebook page to learn more about him and his campaign, how everything is going, and also vote. I mean, that's how we make changes in our community. Me being African American, I see a lot of the other side of things of, well, this judge is here and he has a terrible track record and blah, blah, blah. And I hate that he's there, but you have your opportunity to make that change and vote for somebody like a Sam or whoever you want to support, who you feel is fair and just. So this is your opportunity to vote for the person you think will be best suited for that district. So get out there, make a change in your community. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.